Well, you know, Democrats are going for their own blood, it seems. Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee demanding President Trump, get this, resign right now. Here's what you missed from a fascinating exchange on Fox Business Network.
The idea that his continuous assault on women only compounds the fact that I would ask him, it's a job that he does not seemingly like, he needs to resign. And I stand by that because he is inappropriate for the office. You can't even get answers from his cabinet officers about housing, about State Department issues, because they're not staffed. They're not staffed because the White House can't seem to agree on appointments. You have to be able to run this country on behalf of the American people. As Samuel Adams said, freedom of thought makes a happy country.
But it seems like you're not even going to give him a chance because of the coarse language you use.
The media has the right to freedom of thought.
I think, Congressman, I've said on this air and elsewhere, I think his tweets, when he gets particularly off subject and gets personal and punches down, I think they're bad news. They get him off his agenda.
Well, he's ill-suited, Neil, if you think that. He constantly renders the tweets.
But, Congresswoman, that doesn't mean that I say, all right, you're out as president. Let the American people decide that in the next election.
The American people have decided his polling numbers are down under 40%. He's 36% or 35%.
I can remember when Ronald Reagan polled in the 30s, Congressman. I can remember.
Ronald Reagan was a commander-in-chief, and he was attempting to run the government.
My point is, if you go by polling numbers or snapshots at times, of course, we would have never seen Ronald Reagan reelected.
I am going by his behavior and the fact of whether he is suited for the presidency.
You're free not to like him, right, Congressman? You don't like him, and you're absolutely free not to like him.
I don't stand for myself. I stand for individuals who have been offended every day by his actions.
But it's based on his behavior, based on things that you don't like, based on a direction he's taking this country that you don't like. And by the way,
absolutely
that is perfectly
not. I was looking forward to working with the President of the United States.
No,
but I can't work with him. We cannot sustain his behavior. In the middle of trying to call it Immigration Day yesterday, Republicans had to address the question
I understand that, Congressman. Now you and I agree. But now you've added by saying you're not going to vote on anything until he's out of there. Did I understand that correctly?
Well, I am very, very concerned about his leadership of anything that we propose in the United States Congress, including the mean health care bill that he called mean.
So you're not going to vote on anything? You're not going to do your job because you don't think he's doing his?
Oh, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to vote no if I don't believe that this is an appropriate governmental
so you'll still vote, but you'll still vote. But I read this to believe that you were not going to even do that.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I would never not vote. Please make it very clear. I represent my constituents, and I know that the health bill needs a no vote, and the sanctuary cities vote needs a no vote, and probably the reason is because of all the power now given to the executive.
Are you okay then with part of this, and I don't want to get too bogged down in the 25th Amendment, and you know this stuff far better than I, but one of the things that it includes is the Vice President of the United States going along, agreeing that he, too, believes the President is incapacitated to do his job, and a majority of the cabinet. Now, what would you think of Vice President Pence in this scenario becoming President Pence?
Well, first of all, let me say that you raised the 25th Amendment. I happen to know what it is because I'm a lawyer and I'm on the Judiciary Committee. What I said on the floor, and I maintain that the president resign. And I think it is because he is ill-suited and apparently maybe unhappy in the position, and it's very difficult to be a commander-in-chief.
So you were not among, I just want to be clear then, you were not among these 21 House Democrats, including the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, to get cracking on a 25th Amendment invocation.
I want to be clear of what I said. I certainly think the 25th Amendment is in play. To answer your question about Vice President Pence, that is the normal course of government, which is if the president resigns or is impeached or is incapacitated, the Vice President of the United States. That is the orderly course of government, and then there is another transition as well for if the Vice President becomes incapacitated.
Right.
I would not in any way override
but
that.
You're not for that now. You're not getting into this whole 25th Amendment thing. But also, then let me ask you this.
I didn't say I wasn't getting into it. What I raised was a resignation.
Right,
Thank you.
You're confusing me.
That's voluntary. I'm asking the president to resign.
Do you think it's a bit premature that don't you have to wait for something evidencing a high crime and a proven misdemeanor before we can be even having this discussion?
No, Neil. Remember, impeachment is a separate legal action that falls
Understood.
under the Constitution, and we've been having hearings. I've been holding hearings with John Dean and Professor Tiefer and David
Then
Kendall.
what if
and
let's say we get a Democratic president on the road and they don't like his or her tone or demeanor, or if they're tweeting or they're saying things that are deemed impolitic, and they have the same push to say, get out of there. I mean, that's a different bar, right?
Believe me, are you trying to suggest that Democratic presidents haven't had the same cry they have? But I think this president is extraordinary. The series of incidences
this one,
that
you've
make
never done
him
this with a prior
ill-suited.
president, right? You don't like this one.
First of all, the president spoke about war in Syria, and most of his cabinet members, military, didn't know anything about it. In the Qatar situation, his Secretary of State was saying something completely different from what he was saying.
So you see a lot of smoke, but you want to fire him. You see a lot of smoke, but you want to fire him. Right?
No, I said I want him to resign.
But I was confused at the end of that one because either they're going to go the 25th Amendment route and try to say that President Trump is just mentally or physically incapacitated to do the job, or just resign, or just impeach. Regardless, it comes down to because they don't like him. They don't like the guy. I don't know if that fits a high crime and misdemeanor to go ahead and pursue something like this, but that's where we are at this point. 24 Democrats are of that opinion. He's got to go. What did you think of that? Do you think that's fair? I don't care whether you're on the right or the left, but to go ahead and force your will, if you don't like a guy, you don't like his tweets, to kick him out of office, and the shoe on the other foot, what would you do? You can tweet to us at Team Cavuto, email Team Cavuto. And by the way, I don't want any discussions of my weight, or I will come down on you like we'll have a break after this.